Well, qualifying for the top two positions was exactly the same in race 4 as it is in race number 5. Tom Gladys and John Edwards alongside of each other. This time, Edwards, of course, hoping he gets a better start.
Yeah, and on row 2, you have Charles Hall and Alex Ardoin, two guys looking for another strong race.
Peter Dempsey's going to start on the inside of row number 3 for race number 2. He was inside row number 2 for the first one and was very strong in that event.
And on the next row, Billy Goshen and Chris Cummings.
Well, now as we get set to get this one underway, Johnny, the guys that had problems yesterday have an opportunity to fix some issues, but that can be tough to do sometimes. You try a little too hard.
Yeah, you know what? And one of the guys I think is going to be strong is John Edwards. I mean, in his interview after the race yesterday, you know, he mentioned that he needs to win, and he's got that mindset. I like that. Charles Hall, I thought, especially after coming off a win at Watkins Glen, is a little bit, you know, apprehensive about things here. I'd like to see him, you know, up that game a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how things play out.
Well, before we go green with our standing start, let's check in one more time with Jamie Howe for some final thoughts.
This track is sensitive to temperature. You see the lights coming up on the cool things in motorsports. A standing start.
Here we go from Portland.
And Edwards gets a really good start. Edwards on the inside line. I don't think there's any way Gladys is going to be able to make that.
Look at the tire smoke from behind. Is everybody going to get through cleanly? They do, for the most part.
You know, it's at a racetrack like this that I wish I had a business that built the front wings for these cars, because it's guaranteed that you're going to have some business coming your way after the race. But really, for the most part, especially compared to yesterday, we had a great start.
And for Edwards, it was like night and day, because yesterday could have been catastrophic as he was sitting there dead in the water with everybody charging up around him. Oh, well, we got through the festival curves okay, but not through here as Dempsey and Ardoin, a couple of the top cars in the championship, involved in that one.
And you know, it'll be interesting to see how that really played out. You got Alex Ardoin going there. Again, he is going to be furious. Dempsey just gets into the back of Ardoin. You know, again, remember, Dempsey's a young kid. He's 17 years old, excited. Did not have the race that he wanted, thinking he should have won it yesterday, and there's contact.
Cooler temperatures means cooler tires, too, doesn't it?
Well, you know what? Always in the opening laps, your car's not going to be behaving as well as it will 3-4 laps into the race, and so that's a possibility. But again, it's one of those situations where I think it's more, you know, he needed to be a little bit more patient, and Alex Ardoin, the innocent victim there. John Edwards, though, again, we saw him so strong in Salt Lake City. It's going to be interesting. He is motivated to see if he can back this up with some strong competition behind him.
He did win in Salt Lake City. The car right behind him, Charles Hall, won at Watkins Glen, and Tom Gladys running in third, won yesterday.
All right, and now you're Charles Hall. You're running in second. You're trying to learn everything you can from Edwards, but you also have to be concerned because, you know, he's already admitted, Dempsey, he's back to the pits. He's going to need some work done to that car.
The driver out of Ireland up on the stand. They take a look at that front end.
Always a frustrating deal, man, to have to pit at the end of the first lap to get your car worked on.
That's Ernesto Otero in the 18. Let's check in with more from pit lane. Here's Jamie.
Peter Dempsey in pit lane with severe damage to the front of the car. He told me that before qualifying, he had his wing break and he lost most of the session getting that repaired. He also said that during qualifying, his tires were no good, so they made a couple of changes to the car. They rotated the left and right tires. Big trouble for him early on in the day. This is not what he needed, guys.
You know what? It definitely isn't. And one of those situations where, you know, when they were so strong yesterday, I don't know whether you have to tweak the car too much, but you know, it's a frustrating deal. And again, I think you let it get. Oh, you see Ardoin fighting back to the crowd. You know what? And we said it in the last race. If you can't win, be spectacular. Be the most memorable guy out there. And right now, Alex Ardoin has that opportunity. He's got to use that anger that he has about getting taken out and spun out on that first lap. Use it to his advantage. Work through the field. Sweet.
Inside David House, and he gets around him for another spot.
You know what? You think you have to win, but no, you don't. At this level of the game, you have to be remembered.
Well, hopefully they'll remember us and come back, Johnny. And we got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. John Edwards trying to split the weekend up between devastation and jubilation if he can hang on and get a win. this is a doubleheader weekend, and Mazda had a lot to do with that. Our Jamie Howe spoke to Jim Jordan from Mazda about how this weekend came together.
Had a conversation with Mark Whittington, who's the track manager, and he still wanted to have an event. He says, Portland, we need to keep Portland on the map for motorsports. Long-term, they have a plan to bring big-time road racing back to Portland. So we just felt that Mazda need to make the commitment to keep road racing strong here in Portland. So he and I worked together, obviously worked with Gary in the Star Mazda Series. People from the American Le Mans Series were great, too. Worked with all of the Mazda race teams to just make it a real fun event.
With the success that you've had so far this weekend, what's the plan going forward?
Well, I think moving forward, we like these grassroots events. We've made it a real cheap ticket to come out. We see a lot of families out here, a lot of young kids. This might be their first event ever. And I think we're going to try to do some more of these next year. We're going to try another one at New Jersey later this year. It's going to be another doubleheader for Star Mazda. So I hope everyone on the East Coast comes out to the New Jersey Motorsports Park and checks out Star Mazda Atlantics. And it's going to be just a great weekend.
Johnny, as we watch some of these battles, the reason for this, of course, if you haven't followed motorsports this season with the Champ Car Indy Racing League reunification, there were some gaps that were left open on the Star Mazda calendar because they were scheduled to run with Champ Car before the unification took place.
Yeah, and Mazda, you know, I tell you what, they're total rock stars, stepping up and providing these guys an opportunity still to compete here. You know, everyone loves this racetrack, and you love coming here. It's not always easy because they have sound limitations, and there's certain, concerns that the racetrack has that you don't deal at other places. And the competition, for racetracks to hold big events is big, and there's only so many, American Le Mans Series races that you can have, or Champ Car races that you can have, and so, Portland, they got to make it appealing to the teams, the factories that come to an event. And one of the things you think about, it's great putting on a race, but anytime you have a race, you bring in so much money to your community that racetracks do have a place in every community.
Phil Fogg in the 29, that's that black, silver, and red car, getting around for 15th as he passes Patrick O'Neill. One of the things I liked that I heard there, Johnny, was they talked about the fan.
Yeah, you know what? It is all about that, and you can have such a great family weekend as you see fans in the background there. Racing is a great opportunity to spend some relaxing, fun time with your family. And we see a little bit of dicing going on here down the front straightaway. That's Dempsey back out. Again, he's got to be spectacular. He's got to make up for that opening lap mistake. But one of the things, Portland, I've been here forever, and Portland used to draw 100,000 people for a sports car race and for an Indy car race. And with just a little bit of tweaking, they can regain that magic.
Trying to regain some of the magic is the 21 of Peter Dempsey as he gets around Pedro Cerramalera for 28.
Yeah, and what he needs to do, and that, man, how you said that one, that's like triple tread technology, man. How you always pull that off every time, I don't know. But you know what, right now what Dempsey needs to do is he needs to get fast lap after fast lap, and so at the end of the race, you'll see what's going on. As we get back to the front, you see Edwards here being able to pull away. Charles Hall not as quick. Tom Gladys trying to figure out how to get by.
Yeah, he's starting to gap him a little bit here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty strong. You see Gladys is starting to up the pressure going into that first corner. Okay, Hall very experienced, so I don't think he's going to be sweating that too much, but what he really needs to do is just make sure, if you're Tom Gladys, you're trying to ruin, Hall's rhythm going into that 8-9 section, leading onto that long straightaway so you can pick up a toe. Well, Hall's not going to make that mistake.
Yeah, and Gladys has got to be feeling a little bit like Superman this weekend. 2 poles and a win already, and he's running in third. I mean, he's thinking, hey, I can do no wrong here.
Yeah, you know what? And it was very interesting because at the start of his interview before the race, you could see a little bit of cockiness in his eye, and then he fell into the British be cold, dry, and bored about it all. But I think right now, he is feeling a little bit more like a gunfighter than Charles Hall.
That's 15, 16, and 17 with Chuck Hull's bringing up the back end of the train. He's in the black and blue car. Fogg is at the front end in the 29. And O'Neill's sandwiched in the middle.
All these guys doing a reasonable job hitting their marks. Yeah, and a really interesting thing about Portland that is challenging, as they go down this long back straightaway, it's turning, it's difficult, there are bumps on it, but there's also lighting changes because you have the trees coming over, and so a lot of times it's very difficult to pick up where your braking point is going to be your turning point. So it is visually a challenge every time you run Portland on that back straightaway.
And you got a chicane coming up shortly thereafter, too, so you better be good with your brakes.